Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to another video lesson. So I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, so just as a reminder that during these videos, the point of it is for you to be taking notes as you go along. And also, throughout these videos, I occasionally will ask a question or two for you to respond to in a private comment. And this is just a way to get some easy participation points for the day. Okay. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Today we are going to start our discussion about just war theory. And as I mentioned yesterday, this is sort of the other side of the coin to pacifism. The church accepts both. And so it's sort of my job to present both to you, okay? But all of this, under the idea of practicing peacemaking and conflict resolution as it relates to temperance. All right? So before we even get into the nitty-gritty of just war theory, let's start with like a short question here. And as I mentioned, in a private comment, please respond to this short reflection question, just a sentence or two. Is war ever justified? When and under what circumstances is it justified? Right? I don't really care how much or how little you know about just war theory, but just in your mind, is war ever justified? And if it is, what circumstances are, or so what sort of conditions are required for a war to be justified? And what would Jesus say about war? Okay, so take if you need to pause the video to take a couple minutes to answer that, please do so right now, okay? And we're going to move on. So, for just war, the church, like I just mentioned, the church accepts that there are conditions when war is justified. And I might have mentioned yesterday as well that this really wasn't developed until around St. Augustine started talking about just war theory. And he's the first one to kind of start to develop this idea. And others have kind of rolled with it ever since. But as I was saying, the church accepts that there are circumstances when war is justified. However, to be considered, that's a typo there, to be considered to be just, a war must meet a set of conditions. And that's really what just war theory is all about. What are those conditions in which a war is justified? So before we even explore what those conditions are, all I want to do today is sort of talk about, well, what are the no-nos? There are certain actions that are never morally acceptable when talking about war. And so I find that this is sort of an easier starting point when talking about just war theory. Talking about, well, here are the things that are not okay. Okay? So let's look at these. And these are all what we can call condemnable actions in war. Condemned actions in war. All right? Number one is inhumane treatment for non-combatants, so civilians. So inhumane treatment of civilians or just any personnel who are not, soldiers. But this also includes inhumane treatment for wounded soldiers and prisoners of war. And so along those lines, the second point here is torture. Torture is condemned. Using torture in any capacity um, is not acceptable. This is not part of what makes a just war. Number three, mass extermination of a people, nation, or ethnic group. Some of these seem pretty obvious, but I don't know how anyone can justify. Well, I won't say that, but obviously, mass extermination of people is not justifiable. Number four, and I know there's a lot of baggage to this word, but for lack of a better word, terrorism. And what I mean by that is the threats or the actual use of violence upon innocent people, or this sort of indiscriminate destruction of property in order to spread fear. And what I mean by that is just not really even picking like strategic military targets to destroy, just widespread destruction of an area. That's terrorism, all right. And I have a couple subpoints to that. The church also classifies the use of nuclear weapons under terrorism, as well as any sort of chemical or biological weapons. Okay. Then the last one. So an arms race, and what this means is just sort of the rapid accumulation and production and the sale of arms and weapons. So this is more than just sort of those who are like war profiteers who are making money off of military grade weapons, but the folks, not just nations, but people too, who just stockpile weapons. Obviously, there was, and I talked about the example of the Cold War yesterday, where both the U.S. and the Soviet Union, we saw nuclear proliferation, right? But we see this on a small scale with individuals too who stockpile weapons for whatever reason, whatever sort of conflict that is. That's not meeting the just war criteria. All right, that is really it for today. But your next step here, what I want you to do is I want you to find, well, maybe not necessarily find. If you need to do research, you can, but I want you to come up with two different examples from this list of either these sort of crimes being either perpetrated by or against the United States and its history. All right. So come up with two examples of when the United States either committed one of these crimes or one of these crimes was committed against the U.S. in its history. All right, and just type that out in a private comment as well. And that is really it for your task for today. Okay, and then we will pick up on this conversation tomorrow. All right, so have a good day, and I will see you soon. Bye.